Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd from Bish's RV down here at Jayco today. Finally get my hands on a 173 MRB, yeah, you know me. What's frustrating for me, egg on my face, should have had a V8. Remember those commercials? About 6 months ago, they first debuted the first prototype of this floor plan. And I was buzzing around their new update display, recording stuff like crazy. And somehow on my checklist, I thought I recorded this one and never did. So I'm finally getting a chance to put my hands on one. And special thanks to Jayco for helping set this up for me and fulfilling your request. Had a lot of people wanting to see this one. They announced this floor plan pre-COVID and are finally getting it out there. It's really cool to see this happening. It is a no-slide Murphy bed, 7.5 foot wide, single axle, solo or couples model. Now the dinette can fold down to sleep a dog, a little kid, a husband who's really in trouble and tied one on or something like that. You could make some things work. And you know, there's several other builders who have floor plans very similar to this. They're all gonna do it a little bit different. Like again, Jayco's 7.5 foot wide and they're double Azdel laminated walls, meaning Azdel outside and inside layering. This is also a full 6.5 foot ceiling height all the way across, which gives it more space, more headroom, more storage, and more space in the shower and the bathroom storage, which are two areas I really like. The underbelly of this is enclosed. You can put tank heaters on it. You have Goodyear Wrangler truck tires on it. You have a little outside griddle situation available. Big campsite window on this one as well. And this is a Murphy bed model. Now I try to be fair. It's what I call a bendy bed Murphy bed. So depending on how you do the bedding, you may need to kind of make the bed every morning or night, but you might not if you do it the right way. That bendy bed system also does offer more outside storage, which is really cool. They do one of those telescopic ladders on these, but it's interesting. It's a side mount. Just because they've got some other stuff going on the back wall. They made sure that you still had a way to get up to the roof to be able to check like the roof cargo rack, the solar package, whatever the case might be. Let me know what you think about this one. Again, coming today at your request. If you appreciate how we get out here and get this stuff for you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get rolling. So I thought it kind of starts you right from your perspective. Like if you're gonna go shop and browse and looking at this RV, I think this is kind of how you're gonna see it. Right when you walk in the door, you're gonna be greeted by that handy dandy Murphy sofa. And if we look up right away, we see one of the more pleasant surprises in this RV. You get the big XL fan right here in the living room, really keeping that airflow going. Now that kind of got me wondering, okay, the fan's great, but do the windows open for airflow? And yeah, as you see, they all do. Now, we're looking at the modern farmhouse decor today. That still remains very popular, but you do have a choice. Jayco's one of the very few that lets you swaption decors. Really, the only thing that's going to change in this, though, is the kitchen. That being said, it'll turn to like kind of a sandy washed gray, by the way, called vintage decor. So you got modern and you got vintage, basically is how it boils down. But this one, because the kitchen's all on one side and everything else is all separated, the change and the shift in the wood tones don't really bother me. Sometimes in some of the small campers that they make, things kind of overlap funny, and it just sort of, it looks a little bit odd to me. This one, I don't get that feeling. Now, this is kind of cool. This is a 12-volt TV kind of soundbar combo. Very popular now in these smaller RVs. It's actually on a removable bracket. So if you unhook everything, unplug everything, it can mount outside on the RV, which is kind of cool. Even in this little rig, by the way, you've got a full-size air conditioner up top. You want to be breathing icicles or camping in Texas in this little thing, you frankly ought to be pretty much fine. You've got a simple kind of command system here, but you know, the actual touchpad on this one, not as fancy-dancy as some of the bigger models, but you can still link up to it on your phone and have the full function of all those extra features that you find on some of those other systems, and some major campsite window coverage there. Something else I noticed that's a little bit hard to see from here, there's a ton of power outlet action going on below the dinette. Now, to be fair, it is a knee knocker post style dinette. You could remove those legs and change to something else if you want to, but you got to remember, in an RV this size, that box that we're looking at down there, that is actually the wheel well. But as long as we're looking down here, you see how there's household and USB plugs over there. It's a little bit dark. Now on the other bench, the left-hand bench that's coming back into view on the screen right now, there's also some household plugs on that. So you have 4 household plugs, a USB-A and a USB-C plug, all right in there, which is kind of cool. Now you might notice Evidently, they're called like shade poles. I like to call them drop knobs. Some people calls it a sickle. I calls it a sling blade, or a drop knob, as it were, to pull down that blackout roller shade that in this class most builders are not doing. Like Rockwood and the Geo Pro still does a pretty good job of it. But check out the total campsite window coverage in this thing. They really let you see, well, they kind of answer the question that the four non-blondes keep asking, like, what's going on? So stupid. I love that, though. Oh, anyway, right now there's somebody in their house in their head going, hey, yeah, yeah. But neither here nor there. I'll be signing apologies for my terrible karaoke work in a few minutes here. Now, both sides of the bed have household and USB plugs. So when I said USB-A, USB-C plugs, if you don't know what those mean, the rectangle and the oval ones. The C is the oval one. Fast charging kind of capacity. Very handy for a lot of modern smartphones with like wireless charge capabilities. Now, every manufacturer does this floor plan very similarly, yet just different enough. So I wanted you to get to see how the Jayco version works. The trick is, I don't usually like to use wide-angle lenses, but to get myself in this screen, that's exactly what I had to do starting right about now. Flipping over to fisheye wide-angle lens mode right there. What you're going to see here is that is a, I call it simulated cinema sofa, where you got the drop-down folding armrest. Now, the bed drops down, and that is a short camp queen. So, like, when you see me laying lengthwise on it, or the reason that I lay down and put my head closest to the camera, my feet are against the wall to give you another reference point for how long that thing is. So it's not a longer true queen. Theoretically, there's enough space above the mattress when the bed is closed. If you found some kind of 80-inch folding mattress, you could do that. And when the Murphy bed's flipped up, it actually makes for an interesting little extra storage space on the inside of the RV. So if you have some extra pillows or throw blankets, that might work for you. Now, I also mentioned something. I said, if you make the bed correctly, you don't have to remake the bed every day. What I mean by that is when you have your bed all made, get something like some kind of buckle strap that you can kind of cinch down. Wrap it around the foot of your bed so that when you drop the bed down, you unbuckle it, no big deal. Before you put the bed back up, rebuckle it, cinch it down so that your bedding doesn't go flying all over the place. So when you drop the bed back down, it's pretty much right there for you, which is, very cool. The RV is kind of interesting to me. J Feather Micro has always done this. They've gone with a 3-burner stovetop, which is usually there when a manufacturer wants to offer or at least option a propane gas oven. To my knowledge, they've not done that now. I know that Winnebago does this thing where they do the same thing, but they offer oven prep. Like you could just add an oven to it, but they don't really do it from the factory. I'm not sure at the time of this filming if Jayco is doing the same thing. I'll see if I can investigate that. Now, another quick note here in the kitchen for you. We're looking at the gas electric 2-way optional fridge. Normally in here you would find a little bit larger, about 25% larger actually, 12-volt DC compressor fridge. They also, and I'm going to flash some lights, so if you're photosensitive, please look away. 3, 2, 1. They have an awesome lighting package in this thing. But what is also cool is you can still individually turn the lights off if you want to, which is very, very handy if you are dry camping and you really want to use as little juice as possible. By the way, if you're photosensitive, it'll be cleared to look again. Although we are coming up to a mirror and you might end up with my reflection. That is a scary thing to look at. So you sensitive viewers, squeamish, may want to look away. This is one of the areas, though, you're going to see that my head sticks up in the skylight. But you're going to see that I'm just kind of like, yep, no big deal. Because in a smaller camper like this, a lot of manufacturers don't even give you a skylight. And remember, this is a full 6.5-foot sidewall. There are manufacturers who have smaller, shorter sidewalls where I can't stand up at all in the shower. So the fact that my head's in the bubble, it's just not the most offensive thing to me in this one. And I like that there's a dedicated sink in the bathroom. There's not a whole lot of counter space, but we're in a small camper. I can kind of make do. Where it got almost a little too tight for comfort was over here in the bathroom space. So if I step back into the shower, it was awful tight quarters. I've seen, I think it was Surveyor did something. No, yeah. Surveyor did something like this once where they had this really nice big bathroom in the back, and the cabinetry, the storage was huge. Now, to give you an idea of that, you can see the reflection of the Drunken Octopus Fight Club on the left there. But here's a look at that storage space. Awesome storage in this bathroom. And that shelf in the big chunk up top is removable if you want hanging storage. The trick is the storage is so big, it's pushed right on top of the toilet, and it really aggressively limits your like elbow, hip, leg, shoulder room. So if you are a person of larger stature, you may want to get in this RV and sit in it and, like a pair of pants, try it on for size. I'm not going to call it our dealership. Come out to our dressing room and try them on for size. Looking's free every day. But remember, you break it, you buy it. That's how I got my first cat. That's a joke. I've never broken a cat. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, how often have you heard me say an RV's greatest asset is its greatest liability? The fact that this one's a little bit taller inside and a little bit wider, 7.5 foot, not a full 8 foot body, but 7.5 foot to give you that extra space. It means more space, it means more storage. The catch-22 is it means more physical construction, which means more weight, which means less cargo carrying capacity. This RV can very easily have less than 1,000 pounds of available cargo carrying capacity. You are going to have to kind of keep that in mind and budget that as you plan on packing up this RV. Now, a couple cool things here. Up front, we've got double propane tanks instead of single. So a lot of single axle campers, typically you get about as many propane tanks as you get axles on RVs. Statistically, that's more true than not. It's a guide, not a rule. But dual propane tanks giving you more time between swap outs. And if you do feel like getting off pavement, I don't like the phrase off road with a camper like this. I don't think that's what that's like. Rock crawling, you know, everybody's idea of off-road kind of means something different. And a lot of people don't realize that everybody camps a little bit differently. So, you know, it's not going to be like a Badlands rock crawler, brother, or something like that. But if you just want to get off the pavement on some light trails and just kind of get away from people, you know, it would be well suited for that. You've got the Goodyear Endurance Wranglers. These can have tire pressure monitoring, which is very cool. So especially the extra peace of mind of the Goodyear tires and the TPMS on a single axle RV, I think is very nice. That when you're going down the road, if you get a little alert chirp, you might find out that you've got a tire that maybe caught a piece of shrapnel on the road and it's going flat, and you can get off the road before you experience a catastrophic blowout, which is a lot spookier on a single axle versus a tandem. Now, you notice I've got that side mount ladder set up, giving you a look up there at the roof. We kind of peeked at that earlier in the video, but you see you got that roof cargo rack where if you want to add a bike rack, there's all kinds of various like cargo pods, accessories, but keep in mind again, you need to make sure you're not overloading your cargo capacity on this, so you're not overloading the axles, the brakes, the whatever the lowest common denominator might be, probably the axle in this case. Tankless on-demand water heater back here, so that basically as long as you got propane and you got water either from the park or in that freshwater tank, you're going to be able to take a hot shower, which is awful nice. And back here, we have ourselves the new stabilizer system on here that basically has an additional jack leg built right into it that drops down vertically to really cinch and lock this sucker down. That is very handy on a single axle RV that are notorious for keeping steady at your campsite. You got the stinky, slinky sewer tube right there, so you don't got to mix your black tank stuff with every other stuff. You can see the underbelly's enclosed. You have available tank heaters. Right here, we also have the single sewer outlet with some nice ground clearance, which I think is pretty cool. You also have black tank flush and hot cold outside utility shower. Very, very handy features. And that furnace apparently is, or the water heater, I think rather, was trying to ignite over there, and it frankly kind of scared me. For a second, I thought this RV was haunted. I was like, anyway, I about Scooby-Dooed it right out of here. Magnet holdbacks for the baggage door. You see that the bendy bed Murphy bed system does give us a very generous front storage compartment. You know what I thought might be cool in there is like one of those 10 by 10 easy up screen rooms. The RV's of course got a power awning, but a little extra space never hurts, especially on a rainy day. Now, battery disconnect up high, well, high enough at least, and you see those little white diagrams. This does have a small basic level of inverter prep. So if you do feel like wiring an inverter into the RV, I think in a Jayfeather, there's 3 specific outlets that marry up with that. Now, Jayfeather Micro was the first time that Jayco used Asdel in their sidewalls. And since they've always been double Asdel walls. So Asdel outside layer, Asdel inside layer. Since then, though, the entire Jayfeather family has since adopted double Asdel, which I think is very cool and based heavily on the feedback from you folks at home. Now, I've got a question for you. I'm going to withhold my personal opinion. Some of you who watch me normally may already know this, but I'm going to just shut up about me for a second. What do you folks think of these little brush bars? Now, they're not intended to be a structural step. Again, this is not intended to be like a rock crawler. It doesn't have like a steel shielded underbelly or anything like that. It doesn't have skid plates. They add weight, they add cost. Do you find they add value to the RV? Is there a way that you would use them? Like, for instance, they could make a great way to tie up a dog. I do feel there's other places to tie up a dog, and I feel that even while trying to withhold my opinion, I think too much of it has already bled through. My apologies there. UV tinted windows, and between the dining window, the bedroom window, and the door window, we've got some awesome viewing on this short, easy towing little camper right here. You know, if you've got like a tow package midsize pickup, a tow package SUV, I think those are going to be some excellent fits for this guy right here. Now, once again, the Goodyear Wranglers, not even Endurance, but Wrangler, which is a truck tire, still 87 mile an hour rated, by the way, American made, does include TPMS. I can't remember if this is optional or standard in the Feather Micro series. Most of your Jaycos, if there's some kind of bunkhouse, include the outdoor griddle to marry up to the J-port that we're looking at right there. And typically the couples models, it's optional, but sometimes Feather Micro likes to kind of march to the beat of its own drum. Pardon me for opening this live on camera. I forgot to prep myself and do it right. That is just a little pocket of space I call why not. Why not storage? Also, something I forget to talk about all the time, kind of glad this worked out, the key-alike system. You don't need a whole jingle-jangle set of keys hanging off your hip, in your pocket, gouging your thigh every time you bend over to pet your dog. You need one key, which is nice. It operates the baggage doors, the entry door, and the deadbolt on the entry door, all in one shot, which I think is pretty darn cool. And once again, you may have noticed in our early floor plan and flash footage, back here is where that telescopic ladder mounts. So you don't have to like eat up your front cargo storage or anything like that. Just a nice, thoughtful, smart little detail that I think would be, or was well executed on here rather. It is all prepped and ready for an observation camera suite. So if you really like, you know, here's the thing about the observation cameras. They can help you spot your blind spot very, very nicely. The other thing though, is they can work a little bit like campsite security. If you're sitting inside and you have the shades drawn, you hear a funky sound, something goes bump in the night, you can see if it's, you know, just a little critter or if you need to call Ghostbusters. Once again, special thank you from me to the viewers out there who continue to tune in and watch and give me that hit list. Keep sending me those suggestions. I wish I could get to them all. I really do. I publish like a couple videos a day basically, and I still can't get to every request that everybody gives me all the time, but I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to, when I get a lot of requests for the same thing like this, I try to make that happen. Now you can also check the link in the video description to see if we have any of these in stock, if we do, where they're at, how they're equipped, what we're asking for them, you know, all that right up there. We don't do hidden dealer fees. I will also leave you some links in the description for some other brands that have a very similar floor plan. And if you cross compare a couple of those, let me know which one you would go with and why, if, you know, you were the one actually cutting the check for it. And until next time, thank you again. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.